What was I supposed to do? Let my husband ruin his own birthday just because he felt ignored? Please, I was not cruel. I was keeping the peace. If he had learned when to stay quiet, I would not have had to tell him in front of everyone. He sat there with that calm face, the same calm face he used whenever he wanted people to think I was the problem. So yes, I demanded my husband shut his mouth at his own birthday party. I thought I had saved the night. By dessert, he said 2 words, and the whole room stopped looking at him. My name is Harper Ellis. I was 33, and as an elementary school assistant principal, I spent every day stopping small problems before they became public scenes. To be fair, that is what I tried to do at home too. My sensitive husband, Evan, never understood that. He always thought every feeling deserved a meeting. Every hurt deserved a speech. Every quiet look from him was supposed to make the room stop and ask what was wrong. I had spent 9 years with him, 7 of them married, and I knew exactly how he worked. He did not yell. He did not throw things. He did not embarrass himself that way. He just went still, straightened whatever was near him, and made everyone feel like I had done something terrible. So yes, when I demanded that he shut his mouth at his own birthday party, I thought I was saving the room from another one of his silent punishments. I thought I was being the adult. That was always my job, wasn't it? The strange part is that Evan and I were not always like that. There was a time when his quiet felt safe. After Mia was born, I barely slept for 3 months, and Evan was the one who walked her around the living room at 2 in the morning, humming the same low song until her little fists opened. On Sunday mornings, he made pancakes while I slept late, and he let Mia sit on the counter with flour on her knees, even though it made a mess. He was gentle. I will give him that. But gentleness can turn into absence when a man starts hiding behind it. Evan could hold a crying child for an hour, but if I asked him whether he still wanted me, he would look at me like I had handed him a test he did not study for. That is the part people never want to count. 1 birthday forgotten, 2 dinners where he stared at his plate, 3 nights in 1 week where he said he was tired and rolled away from me like I was another chore waiting for morning. Then Chloe would call, and suddenly I could breathe again. Chloe was my sister-in-law, but that word never felt big enough. She was my best friend. She was loud where Evan was careful, funny where he was heavy, and she understood that family meant showing up even when it was inconvenient. So when Chloe asked for help with her son's backyard birthday party, of course I said yes. I brought extra napkins, taped streamers to the fence, and told Evan to carry coolers from the car because Chloe was already overwhelmed. He asked why I had volunteered him without asking first. I told him family helped family. He said softly, that family also asked before giving away someone else's Saturday. I rolled my eyes because that was Evan, always turning help into an accounting problem. The backyard smelled like frosting and warm grass. Balloons kept tapping against the fence in the wind, and Chloe was nearly crying because the cake had tilted in the box. I could see guests arriving, mothers watching, children running between plastic tables. I needed everything to look easy. Then Mia's balloon animal popped. She startled and began to cry, and before I could calm her, an older boy crashed into her and knocked her down near the gift table. Evan moved faster than anyone. He picked her up, checked her knees, and fixed the sticky balloon string around her wrist like that one small thing mattered more than the whole party. I told Mia she was okay and tried to laugh it off because the other boy's mother was standing right there, already embarrassed. Evan said Mia was not being dramatic and that maybe the bigger kids needed to slow down. His voice was calm, but I heard accusation in it. Chloe looked at me. The other mother looked at me. 3 adults. 1 crying child. 1 husband making the mood heavier by the second. So I turned to him and told him to shut his mouth before he ruined Chloe's party. I said it low enough to pretend it was private, but not low enough to hide it. A few people heard. Evan looked at me, then at Mia. He did not answer. He only straightened her little dress, wiped frosting from her wrist, and carried her toward the shade under the maple tree. I told myself that was sulking. I told myself he was using our daughter to make me look bad. Later that night, after Mia was asleep with her stuffed rabbit tucked beside her, Evan asked why I protected Chloe's party before I protected our daughter. Soft, curious, dangerous in that quiet way. I told him he was too sensitive and always found a way to make family events about himself. He looked down, straightened Mia's tiny shoes by the door, and said nothing else. That silence made me feel like I had won. And with his birthday coming, I decided he needed to learn that not every feeling deserved a public performance. After Chloe's backyard party, I thought Evan would let the moment pass because that was what grown people did. To be fair, I had already apologized in the only way that made sense to me. I had kept the party from turning awkward. I had helped Chloe clean up. I had taken Mia home, bathed her, brushed crumbs from her hair, and made sure she slept with her stuffed rabbit under her arm. What else was I supposed to do? Stand in the middle of my own living room and confess that my sensitive husband had been right in front of everyone? No, that was not how peace worked. Peace meant moving forward. Evan did not understand that. The next morning, he stood in the doorway of Mia's room while I packed her daycare bag, and he asked why my first instinct was to protect Chloe from embarrassment instead of protecting Mia from being dismissed. His voice was quiet, not angry. Quiet was worse with him, because he always made it sound like he had already decided I was guilty and was only waiting for me to prove it. I told him he was twisting a stressful moment into a moral trial. He said Mia had looked at me after I told her she was fine, and he wanted to know if I saw her face. Of course I saw her face. I was her mother. But I also saw Chloe shaking near the cake table, the other boy's mother turning red, and 10 guests waiting to see if I would let Evan turn a child's accident into a public correction. 1 child, 10 guests, 2 families. Someone had to choose the room. I told Evan that his problem was he wanted every feeling treated like an emergency. He looked down at Mia's little sneakers by the bed and straightened them so the toes lined up. That small movement bothered me more than his words. He did it like our daughter's shoes had a clearer place in his life than I did. Then he said he was tired of being corrected for caring out loud. I told him he was not caring out loud. He was making Chloe look bad at her own son's party. That ended the conversation because Evan went still, and stillness was how he punished me without admitting he was punishing me. Chloe called me before lunch, still upset, still replaying the party. She said Evan had embarrassed her in front of everyone by acting like her guests were unsafe around Mia. She said she knew he never liked how close we were. She said some husbands could not handle strong female friendships because they wanted their wives small, available, and grateful. I did not like every word, but I liked how the sentence made me feel. Noble, misunderstood, loyal. Chloe had always done that for me. She turned my guilt into a cause. She needed help that week too, because of course she did. Her car needed to be dropped off, her son had a dentist appointment, and Ryan had work calls he could not move. I offered before she finished explaining. When I told Evan, he asked if I had already promised him for Saturday. I said family helped family. He said my version of family always seemed to put Chloe first, then everyone else behind her. I laughed because it sounded jealous, and jealousy from Evan always came dressed as logic. He reminded me that he had planned to take Mia to the park that morning. I told him he could take her Sunday instead. He said Sunday was his birthday. I had to pause because I did remember his birthday, just not in that exact second. That does not make me a bad wife. It makes me busy. I told him we could celebrate Sunday evening after Chloe's schedule settled down. He asked if I had even ordered his gift yet. I told him gifts were not the point of marriage. He said neither were errands for my brother's wife. That was the first time he said Chloe's name like it had weight. Later, I found out he had told his mother what happened at the party. Elaine called him to ask about Mia's scraped knee, and instead of covering for me, he told her I had told him to shut his mouth in Chloe's backyard. When I heard that, I was furious. Private problems stayed private. That was basic respect. Evan said he had not attacked me. He had only stopped pretending. I heard that as betrayal. He heard it as fact. That night, Mia asked why Daddy looked sad at the party. I told her Daddy was just tired because what else do you tell a 4-year-old? Evan was standing in the hall and heard me. He did not correct me. He only walked in, fixed the corner of her blanket, set the stuffed rabbit beside her cheek and kissed her forehead. I told myself he was hiding behind parenting again. The next morning I opened my calendar and saw Evan's birthday sitting there in blue. I decided I would make it nice enough that he would have nothing left to complain about. Evan's birthday started with Mia climbing into our bed before sunrise, pressing both hands to his cheeks and telling him he was old now because 4-year-olds think 36 is ancient. He laughed for her in that soft way he still saved for our daughter, and for a few minutes the house felt almost normal. To be fair, I did try. I made coffee. I bought a card. I let Mia draw balloons inside it with purple marker, even though she got ink on the kitchen table. The gift was not there yet, but that was not my fault exactly. I had ordered it late because school had been a mess all week. Chloe had needed help with her son's appointment, and I had been carrying more than anyone wanted to admit. Evan opened the card and thanked Mia first. Then he thanked me. Calm, polite, too polite. My sensitive husband could make thank you sound like a receipt. I told him his real gift was still coming, and he said that was fine. He said it so flatly that it felt like he wanted me to hear the disappointment under it. Of course he did. Evan never accused you with words if he could do it with a pause. The problem came after breakfast, when Chloe called about a restaurant voucher that was about to expire. It was for a nice place downtown, one of those places with black napkins and tiny candles on every table. She said it had to be used that night, and Ryan had already invited 2 friends because he thought I had mentioned being free. I did not remember saying that, but Chloe sounded stressed, and when Chloe sounded stressed, I could already see the whole day bending around her. I told Evan we could do his birthday dinner another night. He asked if I meant not tonight. I said we would still have cake at home. He looked at Mia, who was feeding pancake pieces to her stuffed rabbit, then back at me. He said he had asked for one simple family night. I told him a voucher should not go to waste just because he wanted to make a point. That came out sharper than I meant, but he was standing there in his house shoes, holding his coffee like a wounded old man, and I hated how easily he made me feel cruel. He asked if Chloe knew it was his birthday. I said she probably forgot. He asked if I forgot too. I told him he was being unfair. 2 questions. 1 missed gift. 1 dinner plan that suddenly made me look like the villain. I needed to fix the story before it fixed me. So I made a post. I chose a nice photo of Evan holding Mia at the park, wrote a sweet birthday message, and added that I hated he had to work late tonight, but that we would celebrate soon. It was not exactly true, but it was clean. It explained why he would not be at dinner. It kept people from asking questions. It kept the peace. Chloe liked it first. My mother commented with hearts. Evan did not react. At the restaurant that night, Chloe sat beside me, warm and loud and relieved. She said I had done the right thing because birthdays could be moved, but a good voucher could not. Ryan laughed once, then looked down at his menu. I noticed that. I did not like it. Dinner should have been fun, but my phone sat beside my plate like a small judge. No message from Evan. No like. No angry text either. That was worse. Chloe told me not to let him guilt me from across town. I drank my second glass of wine and said Evan had turned silence into a hobby. Everyone laughed except Ryan. When I got home, the house was too clean. The kitchen light was on. A slice of cake sat on a plate at the table untouched, with 1 blue candle lying beside it. Mia was not home. Evan was sitting there with his hands folded, and for once there was nothing near him to straighten except that candle. He said Mia was spending the night with Elaine because he needed a quiet house. I asked if he was serious because taking our daughter to his mother over a birthday dinner felt dramatic even for him. He said he was not angry about the dinner. He was angry that I lied to make him disappear from his own birthday. I told him he was making a social media caption into a crime. He said people had asked him why he was working, and if he told the truth, he would have to embarrass me. I told him he was obsessed with looking hurt. He touched the blue candle with one finger and went quiet. That tiny candle annoyed me more than a speech would have. It sat there like evidence, like proof I was supposed to feel bad because a grown man ate cake alone. The next night, my mother insisted we do a proper family birthday dinner at her house, mostly because she hated tension sitting where guests could see it. I agreed because I still believed I could control the room. I would bring cake. I would smile. I would let Evan have his little moment. And if he tried to make me look bad again, I would shut it down before he ruined another table. The morning after Evan's birthday dinner, I decided to be generous because someone had to stop the coldness from spreading through the house. To be fair, I was not admitting I had done something terrible. I was choosing peace. There is a difference. I made coffee the way Evan liked it, put Mia's cereal in the yellow bowl, and told him we could have a quiet family breakfast before my mother's dinner that weekend. He looked at the cup I set in front of him, then at me, and thanked me without touching it. That annoyed me more than if he had refused. My sensitive husband had a talent for making kindness feel like it had arrived too late. Mia was humming to herself, pushing cereal around with her spoon, and Evan reached over to straighten the sleeve of her pajama top. Again with the straightening. The shoes, the blanket, the balloon string. Our daughter became the place he put every feeling he did not know how to say to me. I told him I was trying, and he said trying would mean not pretending the birthday post was harmless. I told him I was not going to let one caption become the center of our marriage. He said it was not one caption, it was the pattern. That word made me tired before he even explained it. Pattern. Men like Evan loved that word because it made every mistake sound like evidence. I told him he was building a case out of normal family stress. He said I kept asking him to disappear whenever Chloe needed the room. I laughed once because it sounded so dramatic. Chloe needed me. That was not a crime. Chloe had been my friend before she was my sister-in-law, and she was the person who answered when I called. Evan went quiet again, but this time he did not look hurt. He looked done with explaining. I decided warmth had failed, so I changed the subject and left for work early. At school, I knew how to handle conflict. 2 children fighting over one marker, one parent blaming another child, one teacher crying in the supply room because the day had gone badly. I knew how to lower voices and give everyone a way to save face. At home, Evan never wanted face saving. He wanted truth said raw, and then he acted wounded when the room could not carry it. By lunch, Chloe called about her birthday. Her voice was bright at first, then strained. She had found a spa that still sold paper massage vouchers, but the shop was 3 towns over, and the online system was down. Ryan could not go. She said she knew it was silly, but she really wanted the paper certificate because it felt more personal. I told her I would drive. Of course I would. 1 errand, 3 hours round trip. A gift that would make her feel loved. That was what family did. When I told Evan that evening, he was standing at the sink, washing Mia's plastic cup by hand, even though the dishwasher was empty. He asked if I meant this Saturday. I said yes. He asked if I was really driving 3 hours for Chloe's birthday gift after ordering his late. The kitchen got too small. The hum of the fridge got too loud. For 1 second I saw the shape of what he meant. His gift had become a delivery problem. Chloe's gift had become a mission. His birthday had been movable. Hers had become urgent. I could see it lined up like shoes by a door. Then I shut it down inside myself. Chloe appreciated effort. Evan counted it. That was not the same thing. I told him gifts were not a competition unless he made them one. He said he was not competing with a gift. He was competing with Chloe for a place in his own marriage. That was ugly, so I called it ugly. I told him he was jealous of female friendship because it gave me support he could not control. He dried the cup, set it on the rack, and did not answer. Later, Ryan called me, which almost never happened without Chloe beside him. He asked if Chloe had really needed me to drive all that way, or if she just liked knowing I would. I told him to worry about his own marriage before giving speeches about mine. He went quiet, but not in Evan's way. Ryan sounded embarrassed. That bothered me. Ryan always defended Chloe. If he was starting to question her, then the room was shifting in ways I did not like. My mother was quieter too. She asked if Evan and Mia were still coming to dinner, but she did not ask it lightly. Mara would have known what to say, but this was not Mara. This was my family, and my family had started watching me. Chloe's texts got shorter that night. No long voice notes, no jokes about Evan being dramatic, just little answers that landed hours late. Meanwhile, Evan took Mia to Elaine's after dinner, saying she wanted to bake cookies with Grandma. I called it emotional blackmail in my head, because that sounded better than saying the house felt empty when they left. Before he walked out, he straightened Mia's coat zipper, checked the stuffed rabbit in her backpack, and told me they would be back before bedtime. I told him he was using our daughter to punish me. He said he was giving her a peaceful evening. Then he closed the door softly, and the soft sound made me angrier than a slam. By the night of the belated birthday dinner, I had decided that if Evan wanted a room, I would give him one. To be fair, that was generous. My mother had already polished the dining table twice. Chloe had finally answered with one short message saying she would come, and Ryan had agreed to bring dessert even though his voice sounded careful on the phone. Careful voices were everywhere now. My mother asked what time Evan and Mia were arriving, like she was asking whether a storm had changed direction. Ryan asked if Chloe and I had talked. Chloe sent me a heart but no voice note. 3 people. 4 strange pauses. One dinner that was supposed to fix a birthday and was already being treated like a test. I wore the green dress Evan used to like because I wanted everyone to see effort. Evan arrived with Mia, holding her hand in one of his and carrying her small overnight bag in the other. I noticed the bag right away, pink with little clouds on it. Elaine had bought it for sleepovers. I asked why he had brought it, and he said Mia might stay with his mother later if dinner ran late. That sounded like a threat dressed as parenting. Of course he would bring a child's bag into my mother's house like a quiet accusation. He took off Mia's coat, straightened the zipper, checked the stuffed rabbit in the side pocket, and set the bag beside his chair. My sensitive husband could make a backpack look like evidence. Dinner started politely. Too politely. My mother talked about work. Ryan talked about traffic. Chloe smiled at me across the table, but it was a small smile, the kind people give when they do not want to be called into something. Evan sat beside Mia and cut her food into little pieces. He thanked my mother for hosting. He thanked Ryan for dessert. He thanked Chloe for coming. It was all so clean that it felt insulting. I could feel the room drifting toward him, toward his calm, toward his little wounded father act. And I hated it. So when my mother brought out the cake, I decided to take the room back. I stood with my glass in my hand and said Evan deserved a birthday toast, since apparently we were all pretending this dinner was not 3 days late. A few people laughed. Not enough. I said he was a good father because he was. I said he was reliable because he loved that word even when he pretended not to. Then I said maybe his real birthday gift this year should be learning how to stop keeping score. The laugh that followed was thin, but it was there, and I held on to it. Evan looked at the cake. The blue candle was in the center, the same one from the slice he had left untouched at home. I had brought it because it matched the frosting, not because I cared about his little symbol. He reached out and touched it once, then pulled his hand back. My mother's smile tightened. Ryan looked down. Chloe checked her phone. Evan asked if we could stop doing this in front of Mia and talk privately after dinner. His voice was clean, final. He said Mia should not grow up around adults using jokes and silence as weapons. That made me look at him sharply, because he had no right to call my jokes weapons while he used quiet like a wall. I told him not to make me the villain in front of my family. He said he was not making me anything. He said he was asking me to stop. That made the room too still. I could feel myself losing it, and losing the room was the one thing I could not allow. So I said the truest thing I had. I said he had disappeared into silence for years and expected me to guess what hurt him. He did not deny it. He looked at me, and for once my words landed clean. That should have been enough. But Chloe was watching. My mother was watching. Ryan was watching. Evan's bag for Mia was sitting by his chair like he had already planned the ending. I leaned forward and told him that if he did not want to be embarrassed, he should stop acting embarrassing. Then I said he should shut his mouth before he ruined another birthday. The room went silent in a way even I could not smooth over. Evan got quieter. I got louder. I told him nobody wanted another one of his sad little performances. I told him this was why I could never relax around him, because he could turn a cake into a courtroom without raising his voice. Chloe did not laugh. I looked at her, waiting for the smile, the rescue, the little wave of support that always told me I was not crazy. She looked at her phone. I texted her under the table asking if she was seriously going to sit there. The message stayed unread. Evan stood then, slowly, not dramatic, not angry. He picked up Mia's overnight bag, placed one hand on the back of her chair, and touched the blue candle with the other. I thought he was finally going to apologize because everyone was watching, and men like Evan hated being watched when they could not control the mood. Evan stood beside the dining table with Mia's overnight bag in one hand and the blue candle under his fingers. He did not look angry. That was the worst part. Angry would have given me something to fight. Angry would have let me become calm, become reasonable, become the wife who tried to save dinner from her emotional husband. But he was not giving me that. He looked at Mia first, then at my mother, then at me, and he said 2 words. I'm done. The words were not loud. They did not shake. They landed flat on the table right between the cake knife and the plates my mother had set out for dessert. I waited for someone to speak. Chloe, Ryan, my mother, anyone. No one did. I let out a small laugh, the kind people use when a room gets too serious, but it fell on the floor with no one picking it up. Evan touched the candle again and said he was done being corrected in public, done being erased from his own birthday, done watching Mia learn that love meant one parent speaking and the other shrinking. Then the room started turning. Not fast, not dramatic, but enough. My mother set her napkin down and said my name in that low voice she used when parents called my school with complaints. Ryan looked at Chloe instead of me. Chloe looked at her phone. The room knew. Elaine knew he had not worked on his birthday. Ryan knew Chloe's voucher had not been urgent. My mother knew the gift had been ordered late. Several people had heard what happened at the backyard party, where Evan fixed Mia's balloon string while I told him to shut his mouth. The little things came back one by one. Mia's shoes by the door, the blanket, the rabbit, the overnight bag, the candle. I had read all of it as sulking. It had been him choosing our daughter every time I chose the room. I tried to say he was making a scene, but my mother said he was leaving one I had already made. That shut the air inside my chest tighter than any insult could have. Chloe stood then and said she should go check on her son. She did not hug me. She did not defend me. She left with Ryan following 2 steps behind her, and for the first time, I saw how quickly loyalty could become a coat someone took off when the room got warm. Evan gave one thin sentence before he took Mia's hand. The separation agreement and parenting schedule were on the kitchen table, and I could review them before the next appointment. Housing. Evan stayed in the house with Mia while I slept in my parents' guest room for 2 weeks. Finances. I learned how many bills he had paid quietly while I called him passive. Social circle. Ryan stopped inviting Chloe and me together, and my mother stopped smoothing over my version. Chloe. She answered me 3 days later with one message saying she needed space. Public reality. I deleted the birthday post, but the screenshot had already become family memory. To be fair, Evan did disappear into silence for years. That part is still true. He let pain sit too long and expected me to hear what he never said. But I did not just ask my husband to be quiet. I built a life where his quiet made room for everyone except him. The blue candle stayed on the dining table after everyone left. I demanded my husband shut his mouth at his own birthday party, and 2 words later, I was the only one with nothing left to say.